everybody, how's it going? Real quick, today, and happy Thanksgiving. Hope everybody had a good time, full of turkey and whatnot. So I'm hoping that everything is going well. Actually, things are going pretty well. Not so much turmoil as I guess the week before, but I do believe that, you know, with the mosque attacks, Egypt, and all these other things that are going on, we're looking for more of those particular issues, and that's what it is today. Today, our issue is threats and targeted. So, I want to try to go over this one thing really quick if I can. The big issue that we're going to be facing here on these threats and these targets is the fact that now it seems as though now that the majority of the terrorist organizations are now broken up, and the majority of them are now being put back on their heels, and you know, they're losing their spaces and everything. This is where the retaliatory issues come into place, because once this happens, and people like Afghanistan, or even now, I believe they're going to start going over to North Korea and Russia and places, so they can start training and put together another group of, I don't really know what they're going to call them, I really don't care. But these are evil people, and these are the people that are going to make sure that the government and all the other issues that are in place and fear is all anything. But the big issue, the big threat that we have to worry about in this country is the people that are pulling the triggers on those guns. And remember, I said something about this earlier, about how it's not so much the weapon as it is the person that's holding the weapon. Because you got to remember, the person that holds the weapon usually has a sort of a breakdown that is known to people, but they really don't recognize it because it's all part of their fabric. And again, here's one of the things that I put down. Those who are turned down in life will grow each year. And I'm using this example, and this is the first example I want to use, is because a little while back, it was a while ago, maybe 3 or 4 years, there was this guy that he stabbed a bunch of his roommates over in Santa Barbara. Now, this was it really wasn't the type of beginning, because you've already had all these shootings and these other things. But this, I believe, was one of the real recognizers of the threats that are now going on within the society, because this guy killed his roommates, and he killed a couple other people, and himself, I think, or he got shot, simply because the women where he was weren't dating him. Yeah, that's right. So that means now we have people that are going to do exactly what these terrorists are going to do, but they're going to do it because their feelings are hurt. Now, you begin to realize that there's a threat that is so close to home, to where now we've built up a society to where now everybody is going to attack each other. You've built up this society where now women have all these rights, and now they have the right to refuse the natural course of life. Think about it. Think about now why all these threats of harassment, sexual misconduct are happening at all the levels. But all we've got is that one guy, Bill Cosby, but he was doing the same thing everybody else was. But now that it's out open, now look at what you have to deal with. Because in a sense, these threats came from the very women that kind of voted this guy Donald Trump in. Kind of look at this. Because they say one thing and they do another. And this is exactly what a rapist or some type of murderer says. Well, you know, she was saying yes with her eyes. Yeah, because see, you women, you guys got to understand, you want this power. Yeah, you want what that person has. That's why you put yourself in that mix. You always want to take the low road. Remember? We talked about this. See, when you are attracted to money and this so-called power, look what happens to you. You end up with a debauched mind and a vision of the future that has to do with all men and everybody that well, that's not true, because for some reason or another, the white guys are invisible. that's funny. Because it's the white guys that's shooting everybody. It's the white guys that are molesting and creating havoc. And even the FBI will tell you, black people aren't like that. But yet these white people, they will protect that murderous individual. They will protect that person simply because that person may have money. And they will protect that person simply because they want something from that person. It's just like any other thing, any other threat in life. You see, the person that is said to be the threat, in a sense, is really not the threat because you're being distracted. You're being misled. Matter of fact, in a sense, I believe the scripture said you're being confused or you're being blinded. So, the threats we see now in the news will be nothing to the many poor, mentally depressed, depressed, the economic health, social and spiritual. The disruption will occur on our near, wait a minute, sorry, I got that wrong. We're near the future, and let me see if I can explain it. That's bad writing right there. But basically what it says is that these issues here are now going to exponentially move into a situation to where more and more people will now be displaced and lives will be disturbed because of these threats. Now, these are just natural threats, the mental people. And see, that also ties into that issue of abuse, of bad parenting, and to the fact that there were people that did not speak up. Now, in my instance, like I said, I thought my family was very, very, very well put together. I mean, my uncles and the rest of these guys were straight out cards, man. I'm serious, man. My Uncle Richard and oh, my God, my Uncle Phil and the rest of them. Jeez, man, my Uncle Junior. Hoo-wee. These people were top of the line, hard-working, very, 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 very innovative individuals. And guess what? Now, they ain't around. But we have the threats. But, solution. You see, the issue that every single one of you face now is the fact that you're all looking in the wrong direction. Yeah, I'm afraid so. See, because you got to look at it from the point of saying, okay, then, if this particular situation is about to become the threat, and I mean the mentally disturbed, it's out of hand. And now, you should see the TV. It's just not that. Look at the drug addicts. And then they got nerve enough to blame that on some weed. Oh, y'all tripping. Okay? These are people that do not want to be normal. You're not looking at that either. So then again, you have another threat. Let's take a look at this next one. Let me see if I can read this first. I don't want to be jumbling around on this. Okay, our system has caused these situations due to the favoritism, discrimination, and the lack of discipline in our society. And again, wholeheartedly on that one, simply because of the fact, see, when school and the rest of these vocational issues came into place, and even in the psychological realm, we don't have anybody saying, listen, sometimes you're not going to get what you want. And in most instances, you're going to have to try to regroup yourself in order to compensate for the bad things that are continually coming at you. Now, I believe there's a whole training, there's a life training situation into that right now, simply because the American dream is not going to be realized for people that are coming up in this life, in this society anymore. Why? Because the people that are coming here don't want to be Americans. So that societal issue is of no use anymore. It's all gone simply because, like I said, they're not coming here to be Americans. They're not coming here to be friends with us, the black people, which we are the number one Americans. Okay? Number one. Because we didn't come here to destroy the indigenous people. We didn't come here to seek out a life of our own. We were dragged here. But now we have a way out. And we're going to take it. So here's the next issue. And again, mentally disturbed, Why are people being molested? These are all issues that continually go on because you consistently want to point the finger at someone else. And that's okay. You can do that. That's all part of this life. Because if you're not going to take responsibility for your own society, then let's dismantle the society. And I believe with a wholeheartedly that that is what's going to occur right now. Because sooner or later you're going to realize, wait a minute, we got so many cultures, we have so many people in this country that now there is no collective being or a place where one specific group has a place. And that's all because of the reparations. And I'm going to tell you the truth. Simply because of what you've done, you've discriminated again. And that is really cool, simply because vengeance is not mine. So I don't have to deal with that. Let me continue here right quick. Okay, this brings up the issue of the Las Vegas. And remember, I told you about the other issue about those people that aren't going to get what they want. And the top of the one was the fact that, you know, when life grows in a different direction, where specifically the white culture believe that they should be somewhere, and this is where that privilege and the rest of that other stuff comes into place, because they believe that they should be here and that you shouldn't, because if they're not there, then you shouldn't be either. And that means me, because again, we're forming this into a black and white issue, and regardless of the threats are still black and white. But see, the insight that I have comes from thousands of years before this time ever even occurred. And I'm with that. Why? Because I understand it. Like I said, to the rest of you, it's all gibberish. So that's okay. But in the meantime, I'm here to do this, to open that way and give that level of escape. Okay, and that brings us to Las Vegas. It's not the gun, it's the person holding the weapon. That person is being basically just kidnapped by evil spirits. Now, it sounds really funny, but see, because the minute you begin to realize that there is no explanation for the behavior, you begin to look at the obvious. You see, because everybody would like to see a conspiracy, but it's not that easy. It's not that simple. It's actually a no-brainer. And here's why. Okay, let's take the political agenda for a moment. The past. Let's take Donna Brazile. The book that came out that levels the DNC threat and manipulation. These political misfits are afraid of unknown fake news. Donna Brazile said they were under constant threat every day. Now, this is an issue that is just absolutely amazing to me. How is it the wealthy are under a threat every day? You see, these words and these type of statements, they create a threat within themselves. Why? Because, see, it's just like I was to say that the state of California has created, what, an unfair environment? Yeah, they have. Oh, or should I say that, you know, because the society does not wish to do business with the black community as a whole, it's the truth. Why? Because for some reason or other, that blackness creates a whole wall of just nothing. They won't spend your money with you. I don't care if it's a Mexican, a white, an Asian, or nobody. They're not coming in your place. They're not going to come in there in any sense of a measurable, of anything. So again, we have another threat from society itself. Simply because I can't survive. I can only survive at a low level in life as long as I'm in this country. So, ergo, leave. Just my solution. It's just for me. You guys stay if you want to. Matter of fact, I want you to stay. Okay, here's the real deal. Last to not least, I'm going to go ahead and put this in. The real threat is now our own government and the reprobate minds that run it. Don't forget, cubs of the caliphate. Man, oh man, oh man, oh man. And see, that's where the issue comes into place, you know. These terrorists train these kids, and then all of a sudden when the terrorists are put out of place, where's these kids going? What do you think their minds are doing now? And no matter how many of them there are, they will exponentially create new and more threats. Simply because there's one of them, and now one takes two, two takes four, four takes eight, eight takes 16. Blah, 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 blah. But the issue is, then here's what's going to happen. These caliphate kids, when they get over here, and they'll eventually get over here. Why? Because they're in such a threat. Their whole country is bombed. Big deal. Somebody said make it a parking lot anyway. But the whole idea is later when those people get older, they're going to do exactly what that Bible said. Teach them. And when they get older, they ain't going to depart. They're going to go right back to what they know. And that's exactly the depressed life that each one of them will feel as they come under the realization that these terrorist organizations were right. And it triggers something in their minds, in these children's minds, that they were right. Now they have to retaliate. So, if we look at this, I believe, and without the whole wily-whack of whatever, the whole idea is no matter what these people have done, no matter how they're going to do it or whatever the threat may be, you will still accept them. You will throw a black man or a woman into the street and you'll accept an Arab, a Mexican, a North Korean, a Russian first before you'll do anything for a black person. You do it all the time. Look at the statistics. I try to warn you, I try to tell you, but you don't listen. And that's cool. Don't listen to me. Just like right now, I wanted to make this message very, very, very clear. Because this threat here and these threats that I've spoken of, they are now climbing at a massive rate within our country. And guess what? I don't really have a problem because, like I said, I'm about to introduce to the whole country what a new level of life is about. See, because like I said, as long as you people stand around here and continually talk gibberish, there's no sense in even responding to those type of issues. So my specific orders are to continue to do these type of clarity communications. And also the competency that it takes to do these types of communication really reflects on the people that will say, wait a minute, this guy's, there's something wrong with him. And I'm doing this more and more and saying this more and more simply because competency. And as I've said in this before, reprobate minds that run the country. That's what you got. Because if I said it once, I said it 1,000 times. Our president, Obama, said, I don't believe this man's qualified to do this job. But that's what you say about all black people, right? So guess what? Hey, great job, good Christians. You people did exactly what God intended. You got the government you deserved. And now we're going to do what we're mandated to do. And that's look for our level of escape. So, you guys stick with who you do. Go back to what you were doing. And please, don't change your mind now. It's a little late. I got my oil and I'm not sharing. God bless you. And Candy, you got to call me, please. Gibberish. Thanks a lot. Bye.